So, before I begin the information in this video, I just want to thank all of my new subscribers, all of my old subscribers, also Zachary K. Hubbard for recommending my channel. And, honestly, having a lot of subscribers, I've never worried about it. But I do feel like I have put out a lot of great information. I've been putting out a lot of videos for a long time. I only put these videos out because I want other people to see how our world is truly scripted. And the more people that realize what is actually going on, the more people, the more minds, the more information we can all put together to eventually, hopefully, we can put a stop to what is actually going on. Or at least use it, if we can't stop it, for something more positive than what it's being used for. So that being said, I don't comment back to people as much as I should, and I honestly feel bad about that. It's just that I'm super busy with other things. I have a 6-year-old daughter who comes before any of this. A lot of times I don't get on until late at night. I've explained this before. I try to go back and leave comments to people when I can. Sometimes it might take days. Sometimes, I just forget about it or whatever. And I just say that, just please don't be mad or feel like I don't like you because of that or something along the lines of that. Just know that I'm busy, and I just don't want to discourage anybody from leaving a comment because I learn a lot from other people. So, that being said, I want to talk about the Nebraska Cornhusker game. If you've been following my channel for the last week or more, I've been talking about how all of these stories in the media, especially these sports stories, are all interrelated, like Colin Kaepernick and Dwayne Wade's cousin dying. And a lot of it all seems to stem back to the death of Sam Foltz, the Nebraska Cornhusker punter who died in Wisconsin on July 23rd. Nebraska also super coded up to the Civil War, civil rights type theme that has been constantly in the media. So anyway, I'll leave a link in the description. I'll leave a link of how to gematria. That's how I'm coming up with a lot of these numbers. Also, there's a playlist that I've made. I think it has like 15, 20 videos in it, starting back from like the College World Series and until now. And it's all connected if you watch all of them videos. I know it's a lot of time. If you don't have the time, I'll leave a link to my blog as well. You can go and you can just go back and read through it. It's a lot faster. I do mention a lot more in the videos. But if you want to know what I'm going to be talking about in this video, just go to that playlist that I'm going to leave. Maybe go back like 5-6 videos. Start with like the death of Gene Wilder, or maybe a video or so before that. And you'll be right on par with what I'm talking about. There's a lot of information though. But yeah, let's look at this Nebraska game here. So, I mentioned a whole lot about 43 in regards to Nebraska and the death of Sam Foltz, and then Nebraska ends up winning the football game with 43 points. And it's just super interesting because when Sam Foltz died, he died 43 days before Nebraska's first game. In gematria, if you write out Fresno State also equals 43. The other guy who died with Sam Foltz, the Michigan State punter, Mike Sadler, his name equals 43 in gematria. The word Civil War equals 43. Abraham Lincoln was born on the 43rd day of the year. He died 4 years, 3 days after the Civil War began. So, just super significant, 43. Nebraska even has 43 conference championships right now going into this year. The reason that Nebraska scored 43 points, though, was it makes no sense. It's completely obvious that it's scripted. Nebraska scored a touchdown. Actually, number 4 scored on a 4-yard touchdown even, like a 44, and then the 2-point conversion was number 2 scoring the 2 points. But anyway, Nebraska went up 34-10, and instead of kicking the extra point, they went for 2. There was 9 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game. Most likely they're going to win the game anyway. And what exactly is the purpose? If they kick the extra point, they go up by 25 points. And instead they kick it and go up by 26. Even if Fresno State gets 3 touchdowns and goes for 2 and gets it, that's only 24 points. They can still win with a field goal. You know, it doesn't really make that much sense why Nebraska would go for 2 there. And the reason that they went for 2 is because they knew they were going to score another touchdown, and then they were going to kick the extra point, and they were going to get 43 points 43 days after Sam Foltz died against a team that equals 43. Also, I wanted to show, so basically the whole game was a dedication to the death of Sam Foltz, the punter, and there was a play when Nebraska had to punt for the first time. Nebraska only sent 10 men out instead of the punter, and it was a big dedication to him, right? Nebraska lets the play clock run out. They take a delay of game or whatever. No big deal. But just watch the clock here, and it's just so obvious. The clock should have stopped before it did. It kept going, and then they did the whole tribute with 13:01. So let's just watch it here.
How fragile life can be. How a dear teammate will never be forgotten.
So, right, the play clock is at 8. This is at 11. It should stop at 13:03 or even 13:04 if you watch it. But it stops at 13:01.
With points towards the sky, one man short in the formation, but he will forever be in the hearts and minds of Husker fans.
And honestly, even on the next time that Nebraska goes, they don't move the clock back up. They literally punt with 13:01. They don't add time to the clock or anything. And the reason that I think they did that was because I've either been talking about Nebraska being connected to the national championship, or they're also connected to the Super Bowl. The word Super Bowl equals 131. The word championship also equals 131. And it possibly could be something that Nebraska is just connected to, not necessarily Nebraska being in the national championship. I talked about this in regards to last year when Alabama won the national championship. And it's connected to the 1971 season with LSU and Nebraska winning their first championship against LSU in the year 1971. Nebraska equals 71. Nebraska's head coach here, Mike Riley, he became a football player for Alabama in 1971 as well. So it also was 4th and 4. Nebraska equals 44. Wisconsin equals 44, where Sam Foltz died. And in regards to 131, I've also previously mentioned how I think Nebraska was connected to the Indianapolis Colts being in the Super Bowl. Indianapolis Colts equals 192. Andrew Austin Luck equals 192. Sam Foltz died 192 days after Lawrence Phillips, the ex-Nebraska player. The player in the car accident of Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler who survived was the LSU player. His name equals 192, just like Indianapolis Colts. Sam Foltz's last game was also the Foster Farms Bowl. Foster Farms Bowl equals 192. The word NFL also equals 192 in English gematria. Anyway, let's look at some of the stuff that I had talked about in regards to Nebraska leading up to this game. One of the big things was Dwayne Wade's cousin dying on the same day of the anniversary of the Bridgewater shooting last year. And then we got Teddy Bridgewater getting hurt the same day. Colin Kaepernick also didn't stand during the national anthem the same day that Dwayne Wade's cousin died. And I had mentioned how it was all connected to the number 117, Dwayne Wade, born on January 17th. Last year, he went to his first ever Nebraska Cornhusker game on September 5th, which is the day that leaves 117 days in the year. Colin Kaepernick was compared to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was born on January 17th. He died of Parkinson's disease that equals 117. And then I also mentioned how last year Nebraska upset Michigan State on November 7th, a lot like 117. And That was also the same week that LSU lost to Alabama. They lost their first game of the season. It was also the same weekend that Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out by the Rams, and then this year he gets a season-ending injury just days before playing the Rams. Nebraska is connected to Moses. Moses is connected to the Ram, Aries the Ram. And then Colin Kaepernick plays in Levi's Stadium. Moses was in the tribe of Levi. Nebraska played in the Foster Farms Bowl last year that was in Levi's Stadium. Colin Kaepernick, even the first tweet on his little article was at 117, the article on CNN. Nebraska's in its 117th season of being the Cornhuskers. They're actually in their 127th season, but they've been called the Cornhuskers for 117 seasons. So anyway, moral of the story, I talked about Dwayne Wade being at that game. Dwayne Wade and his wife Gabrielle Union also just so happened to be at this game this year. And once again, they made a big deal out of it. They brought him out on the field and whatnot. And just think about it. Gabrielle Union, think about Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln, Nebraska, the Union versus the Confederates. And what's interesting, they were wearing the jerseys 21 and Dwayne Wade was wearing number 3. There's a whole lot of stuff that the 2-1-3 or even the 3-2-1 could be connected to. 2-1-3, February 13th, is the 44th day of the year. It's the first day of Lupercalia, an ancient Roman festival where they celebrate and sacrifice the wolf. If you watch my previous stuff, I talk about how Nebraska is connected to the movie Teen Wolf. There's a lot to explain with that, so I'm not going to go into that. Also, May 21st, 3/21, is the day that Adrian Peterson was born. Adrian Peterson, of course, played with Sam Bradford at Oklahoma. Now they're both playing for the Minnesota Vikings. Peterson equals 112. Bridgewater equals 112. Sam Foltz equals 112. He died 1 month, 12 days before Nebraska's first game. He died 211 days after his birthday. After the Foster Farms Bowl. He was born on 21/1. LSU is in its 112th season. They went into this season playing Wisconsin. Les Miles has 112 wins with LSU. And I talked about how Nebraska is connected to the 1971 National Championship, the first one they ever got, beating LSU. Nebraska equals 71. How fitting they would get their first championship in the year 71. I also want to point out really quick that at the end of this game, they showed that Mike Riley got his 100th career win. And just think about that. If Nebraska wins 12 more games this season, he'll finish the season with 112 career wins. If you write out 21 and 3 together, 21-3, it equals 71, just like Nebraska. It also equals 197 the big way, which is interesting. We've talked a lot about the death of Prince and how the death of Prince has been tied into a whole lot of it, connects to Minnesota and whatnot. So just interesting with the 197. If you write out SF27, there was a huge Sam Foltz tribute. They had SF27 all over the stadium. That also equals 197. And one thing I never thought about with Sam Foltz in regards to Colin Kaepernick, his initials, SF, a lot like San Francisco. And, of course, Nebraska equals 71, Moses equals 71, the word punt equals 71, the 10 Commandments equals 71. So I wondered about Dwayne Wade and why he had only went to that game last year. That was his first Nebraska game ever. Well, him and his wife got married exactly 53 weeks before Dwayne Wade's first ever Nebraska Cornhusker game. The word Nebraska equals 53 with the S and K exception. Mike Riley equals 53. He was born in 1953. N is the fifth. N breaks down to 5. U breaks down to 3. 53. I even talked about how it's connected to the movie Herbie the Love Bug. Herbie drives number 53. Nebraska's mascot, Herbie. Another thing I saw during this game, they talked about how Brandon Riley and Nate Gary weren't playing. They were suspended. We'll look at their numbers. 25 and 87. That adds up to 112. So 25, 87, 112. One thing I never pointed out in any video or anything, I just noticed it now. 112 days after the death of Sam Foltz, Nebraska even plays Minnesota on 11/12, which even kind of reminds me of 112. Anyway, in regards to Brandon Riley and Nate Gary, in Gematria, Nate Gary even equals 131, also 59, just interesting, a lot like championship. Brandon Riley, the small way, equals 68. You know, the word championship equals 68 and 131. So interesting, both of these guys have names corresponding with championship, which, who knows, possibly maybe it's just the Big Ten championship, and because it would be Nebraska's 44th conference title, another possible reason why they stopped the clock at 13:01 on 4th and 4, and they did that as a dedication to Sam Foltz. Who knows? Just something to think about. Another great thing that happened in the game, I had posted about how it's connected to the Philadelphia Eagles with Sam Bradford, and I also mentioned how it was connected to the death of Chuck Bednarik and how he was connected to the death of Frank Gifford, who died last year on August 9th. Chuck Bednarik was all about the number 60. He wore number 60. He even won the 1960 championship, NFL championship with the Eagles. Anyway, he's famous for knocking out Frank Gifford in a football game, and he knocked Frank Gifford out for like a year and a half. And go figure, in this football game, we get Luke Gifford, who gets ejected from the game for targeting, right? For hitting a guy too hard, or a helmet's a helmet, you know? It's just such a joke. It has to be planned. There's no other way. And they even do it with 2 minutes, 22 seconds left in the second. 2-2-2-2-2, but 2:22, Nebraska Cornhuskers in Gematria equals 222. Luke Gifford even equals 60. He's connected to Chuck Bednarik, Frank Gifford. Chuck Bednarik also was born on the same day as Adrian Peterson, 3/21. And I'll actually leave a link to them videos about Chuck Bednarik in the description as well. I don't have a post on them on my blog because I made videos well before making a blog. But there's a lot of good information in them videos. I'll leave a link, like I said. Anyway, there was also one other call. It ended up not being a targeting call. It was with 1:27 left in the fourth quarter. And very interesting. So, the Nebraska, I can't even remember what guy it was. I should look it up, but I didn't write it down. But there was a targeting call, and then they called it off. But it stopped the clock with 1:27 in the fourth. Remember, Nebraska is in its 127th season. And what I find very interesting, the guy who got hit was right here. His last name is Jordan. And Michael Jordan is actually connected to so much stuff. I mean, for the past few years, Michael Jordan's even 53 years old right now. Michael Jordan's connected to the earthquake stuff that I had talked about in the previous video. Even think about when Michael Jordan retired. Who won the NBA championship them years? It was Houston. They won both years that Michael Jordan was retired, or in between the two three-peats, because Michael Jordan came back. Houston equals 112. Super Bowl 51 is being played in Houston. We're going into the 112th World Series. And who knows, I took a clip here, I noticed 7-1 like Nebraska. But, you know, maybe the screen actually showed more, just kind of interesting. There's actually so much going on with Michael Jordan. I don't know if I should even make another video. But Michael Jordan is super connected to Philadelphia. Like I said, he even retired on 10/6. The capital of Jordan used to be Philadelphia until it was destroyed by earthquakes in the year 106 AD. We also had the new Rocky movie that came out starring Michael B. Jordan. Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler also died on the same day that Michael Jordan's dad died. And he literally died 23 years before. Michael Jordan, known for the number 23, Sam Foltz, Mike Sadler die on Michael Jordan's dad's 23rd anniversary of dying. And you know what? I'm just going to stop the video here. I'm going to make a shorter video where I explain a little bit more of what's going on. Even Sam Foltz's brother got robbed the same day they were at this game. And it ties into the 2-1-3 again. And I talk about Michael Jordan in this post. So I'll see you in the next post. Just know that all of these games are scripted. I mean, what are the odds of all the 43 stuff? The word champion also equals 43. A lot of times, though, when I see 43 in regards to champion, it always seems that the team loses in the championship. But, I mean, who knows? I guess one last thing I forgot to point out, the total score of the game, 43-10, 53. Nebraska equals 53. But yeah, see you in the next video.